What if I told you that the person you think you are, the human identity you defend, improve, and struggle with, was never the real you? That the limits you fight, the habits you can't break, and even the reality you swear is solid, were all built on invisible scripts you didn't even choose? It sounds wild, I know, but that's exactly why so many people feel trapped, restless, or secretly disconnected from the life they're living. The real prison isn't your job, your past, or even your failures. It's the illusion of self you've been taught to protect. You've been running on a program designed to keep you small, blind to the divine power you were born with. But here's the breakthrough. The moment you realize you're not human the way you thought, you can finally reclaim the creative authority that was always yours. In this video, I'm going to show you why your true awakening starts where your old identity ends, and how to activate your God-given ability to control your reality from the inside out. No fluff, no clichés, just raw, mind-shifting truth. You'll never see yourself or your life the same way again. 1. You were never meant to live inside a box. Most people walk through life thinking they're free, but the truth is, they're just moving from one invisible cage to another. From the moment you're born, you're given labels, expectations, and a manual for how you're supposed to live. Nobody ever told you that you were built for awakening, not submission. You weren't made to follow. You were made to create, to expand, to realize that reality creation is your real job here on Earth. Imagine someone handing you a map for a city you've never been to, but every road is blocked except the ones they want you to take. That's how society quietly programs your mind. School, work, relationships, they're not bad, but they become traps when you forget who you really are. This illusion of self they build around you isn't your real identity. It's just a survival mask. And trust me, there's way more to you than playing by rules you never agreed to. One of the simplest ways to start breaking out is questioning something small every day. If you've always believed success means working 9 to 5 until retirement, ask yourself, who told you that? Is it true for you? A practical tip. Read books like The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz or Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. They'll open your mind to the idea that your divine power doesn't live inside the walls they built for you. The box feels safe because it's familiar, but you're not here for comfort. You're here for awakening. Deep down, you already know it, don't you? And once you even peek outside those walls, you'll start to notice something strange happening with the way you see your own divine awareness taking shape in the cracks of that box. 2. Your divine awareness was hijacked. Your divine awareness was meant to be vast, limitless, and ever-expanding, but somewhere along the way, it got hijacked. Society taught you to shrink it down, to only trust what could be seen, touched, and measured. Instead of tuning into the quiet wisdom inside, you were trained to believe that answers only come from authority figures, systems, and traditions. Awakening your true perception means understanding that reality creation starts when you stop outsourcing your power and start remembering that you were born connected to something far greater than the human mind. Your brain is a filtering machine, built for survival, not truth. It cuts out anything that doesn't seem immediately useful, even if that useless information is actually a doorway to divine power. For example, have you ever ignored a gut feeling only to realize later it was dead on? That's your higher awareness trying to break through the noise. You're not crazy, you're intuitive. Trusting these inner nudges is the first step toward reclaiming your true sight. A good exercise? Spend 10 minutes a day in silence simply asking, what am I not seeing? You'll be surprised at what shows up. When you live trapped inside this hijacked awareness, life feels like a repetitive cycle. Same problems, same frustrations, just different days. That's not a coincidence. That's what happens when you only operate within the illusion of self that the world taught you. Divine awakening breaks this cycle, but it demands that you start noticing where you've handed your power away. Every time you accept someone else's version of truth without question, you give a little piece of your reality creation power away. The good news, you can take it all back right now. The mind that was hijacked can also be reprogrammed, just like updating a computer. It's not about force, it's about remembering. Reading authors like Neville Goddard or practicing visualization daily can help you reconnect to the endless field of potential you were born into. Once you taste that kind of freedom, the old, filtered version of reality will seem laughably small, and you'll start sensing how your reality was never supposed to be confined at all. 3. Free will, more like pre-programmed responses. Most people love to believe they're making free choices every day, but the truth is a lot harsher. What they call free will is often just old programming running on autopilot. Think about it. If you grew up being told that money is evil or that relationships must be hard, guess what? Your mind built highways around those beliefs, and now you keep driving the same routes without even realizing it. Awakening happens when you slam the brakes, get out of the car, and ask yourself, wait, who built these roads in the first place? Your divine power isn't about following the old script. It's about realizing you were handed a role and you have the right to walk off stage anytime you want. Take a simple example. Most people react instantly when someone criticizes them, either getting defensive or shutting down. But what if instead you paused and chose a response from a higher awareness? Try it next time. When you feel triggered, don't react. Breathe, notice the emotion, and ask yourself, is this reaction truly mine, or is it just another layer of the illusion of self? The mind loves efficiency, even if it means repeating misery. It's easier to fall into old anger, old sadness, or old fear than it is to step into unknown territory. That's why reality creation feels impossible for those who stay trapped in the same thought cycle. But the second you catch the program running, without beating yourself up for it, you gain a crack of freedom. One small moment of awareness, one new choice, and boom, you're no longer living a recycled past. You're creating from the present. Freedom starts in tiny ways, saying no when you always said yes, questioning a thought instead of accepting it, daring to want something you were told you couldn't have. The eternal soul that you are isn't here to play small games. It's here to awaken, to stretch, to laugh in the face of the programs that once felt like chains. And once you taste what real choice feels like, a strange thing happens. You start wondering just how many other layers of programmed responses have been running the show without you knowing. 4. The death of your infinite imagination. As a child, your imagination was wild, endless, and beautifully untamed. You could turn a stick into a sword, a box into a spaceship, and a backyard into an entire universe. That wasn't just fantasy, that was your divine power already in motion. You weren't limited by logic or fear. You were tapped directly into the endless field of reality creation. But little by little, the world told you to grow up, and that sacred gift started to shrink, tucked away under layers of practicality and common sense. You didn't lose your imagination. You were trained to abandon it. School taught you to follow rules, not invent new worlds. Work taught you to clock in and out, not explore. Even relationships subtly nudged you to be realistic and settle down. And so, the infinite playground of your mind got replaced by narrow hallways of routine. But here's the good news, that part of you never actually died. It's just been sleeping, waiting for your awakening to call it back into action. Want to reactivate it? Start by doing something totally outside your routine. Read fiction instead of self-help. Sketch something badly on purpose. Take a different route home and pretend you're exploring a new land. Simple, playful actions like these send a signal to your divine awareness that it's safe to imagine again. a great book to dive into. Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's like a permission slip for your lost creativity. Because let's be real, if you're serious about stepping out of the illusion of self, you've got to get comfortable coloring outside the lines. The truth is, imagination isn't optional. It's your portal back to your original power. It's through imagination that new realities are born, new lives are crafted, and old limitations are shattered. Once you stop seeing imagination as childish and start seeing it as divine, you'll feel an excitement that's been missing for years. And that's when you'll begin noticing just how much of your divine power has been quietly waiting for your permission to come roaring back to life. 5. The ego's job. Defend a false identity. The ego was never designed to be your enemy, but somewhere along the way, it started guarding something that isn't even real. It clings to a fragile idea of who you think you are, terrified that any change might erase you completely. Every time you try to break free, it whispers fears into your mind. What if you fail? What if they laugh? What if you lose everything? But these fears aren't protecting your true self. They're defending the illusion of self that was pieced together by the world around you, not by your divine power. Think about it. If someone criticizes you and you immediately feel attacked, it's not because your eternal soul is offended. It's because the little identity you built, the one that says, "I'm good because of what I do," or "I'm worthy because of what others think," feels threatened. Awakening means noticing this reflex without letting it control you. Next time you feel that sting, instead of reacting, smile and remember, it's just the ego doing its job, trying to keep the old story alive. You don't have to fight it, you just have to see through it. A practical way to start softening the ego's grip is through self-inquiry. Try asking yourself simple but powerful questions like, "Who am I without this thought?" Or, "If I didn't believe this story, what would I feel?" Books like The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer are great tools for this kind of exploration. They help you loosen the heavy armor of false identity so your true divine power can start breathing again. Reality creation isn't about building a better ego. It's about realizing you never needed one to begin with. Once you realize the ego is just a scared bodyguard for a fake king, things start to shift. You stop wasting energy defending a castle made of sand. You stop measuring your life by external standards that were never yours. And when you see how the illusion of self operates, you'll naturally start feeling pulled towards something deeper, something real, something that's been quietly calling you back to your true creative authority all along. 6. Remembering your true creative authority. You weren't designed to be a pawn in someone else's game. You were born to be the architect of your own world. But when you forget your divine power, it feels like life is just happening to you, not through you. Reality creation isn't about luck, fate, or hustling harder. It's about remembering that your thoughts, feelings, and intentions are tools, not decorations. Awakening is the moment you stop begging life to change and start realizing you were wired to command it all along. The reason most people feel powerless is simple. They've been hypnotized into thinking they're just tiny humans surviving in a massive, chaotic world. But that's the illusion of self-talking. In truth, your soul carries the blueprint of a creator, not a victim. You don't need to be perfect, enlightened, or worthy enough to access it. You just need to stop forgetting. A simple way to reconnect? Practice visualizing your ideal life in vivid, colorful detail every morning. It's not daydreaming. It's tuning your awareness to the frequency of creation itself. Think about the greatest inventors, leaders, and visionaries. Did they wait for permission? Nope, they trusted what they felt before the world could see it. That's what reclaiming your creative authority looks like in real life. And it doesn't have to be huge. Maybe today you start by choosing how you want to feel instead of letting the day dictate it. Small wins snowball fast when you're aligned with your divine awareness, not trapped in the fear loops of your mind. When you step back into this authority, life starts bending in ways you can't explain. Doors open, people show up, ideas spark out of nowhere. It's not magic, it's you finally operating from the truth of who you are. And once you feel even a taste of that kind of power flowing through you, you'll naturally start noticing how your external reality shifts right along with it, opening a whole new level of awakening waiting just around the corner. 7. Reality shifts when you shift within. Most people think reality is some fixed thing they just have to deal with, like bad weather or taxes. But here's the truth they were never told. Reality creation starts inside you. The outer world isn't a rigid prison. It's a mirror, reflecting the vibration you're holding within. Awakening isn't about bending the world by force. It's about shifting your awareness so deeply that the world around you has no choice but to rearrange itself in response to your new energy. Take two people walking through the same city. One sees endless problems, trash, rude people, closed doors. The other sees opportunity, kindness, and magic in the most unexpected places. Same city, different reality. Why? Because the second person isn't stuck in the illusion of self that says life is hard and unfair. They've tapped into their divine power, and that inner state colors everything they experience. A quick practice. Each morning, ask yourself, what would I notice today if I knew everything was working out for me? When you start shifting within, things that used to trigger you lose their grip. Instead of spiraling when a plan falls apart, you laugh and watch for the better plan life is weaving behind the scenes. Instead of chasing validation from others, you radiate certainty from within. It feels less like making things happen and more like surfing a wave that's carrying you exactly where you're meant to go. And when that flow kicks in, life doesn't just get easier, it gets a lot more fun too. The moment you realize you're not at the mercy of the outside world, a spark ignites. You stop looking for signs and start becoming the sign. That's when your reality doesn't just shift, it transforms. And the more you experience this firsthand, the more obvious it becomes that the thought loops you used to believe were normal are actually the invisible chains keeping you from the life you were meant to live. 8. Thought loops. The invisible chains. Most people don't even realize they're trapped inside their own heads, running on endless loops like a hamster on a wheel. They think they're thinking new thoughts every day, but honestly, they're just recycling the same old worries, doubts, and fears. It's sneaky because these thought loops feel so familiar that you stop questioning them. Awakening means catching those loops in action and realizing that your mind has been playing the same tired song on repeat, while your divine power patiently waits for you to change the station. Imagine waking up every morning and putting on a dirty pair of glasses. You see the world through the same smudged lens, but because you've worn them so long, you think that's just how life looks. That's what thought loops do. They distort reality without you even noticing. A practical exercise. Whenever you catch yourself thinking a negative thought you've had 1,000 times before, literally say out loud, "Not today." Interrupting the pattern, even in small ways, starts rewiring your brain to align with your real creative authority. Breaking free doesn't mean fighting your mind. It means becoming the observer of it. Think of it like watching clouds pass across the sky. You don't have to argue with them. You just have to notice that they're not the sky itself. Your awareness is the sky, vast, open, untouched by passing storms. When you recognize this, the illusion of self that you thought was permanent starts to dissolve, and you feel the first hints of true reality creation stirring inside you. Every time you snap out of a loop, even for a second, you reclaim a little more of your divine power. It might feel small at first, but it builds. One clear thought leads to another, and soon you're not just surviving, you're consciously crafting your life, one free, powerful thought at a time. And that's when you realize the real magic. You were never trapped at all. You were just hypnotized. Now that you're waking up, the real game is just getting started. 9. Becoming the creator, not the character. Most people live their whole lives stuck playing a role they didn't even audition for. They wake up every morning, step into the same old character, and hit repeat without ever asking who's writing the script. But you weren't born to be a background actor in someone else's story. You were born to be the creator. Awakening isn't about upgrading your character. It's about stepping off the stage altogether and realizing that you have the divine power to create the entire show from scratch if you want to. Look around. People define themselves by what they do, what they have, and what others think about them. It's exhausting because it's endless. There's always a new role to play, a new mask to wear. But the moment you start questioning, what if I'm not any of these things? You start to tap into a power that doesn't come from outside approval. Reality creation happens when you stop trying to be a better character and start being the consciousness that shapes the whole scene. A simple daily practice. Before you act or speak, pause and ask yourself, am I acting from my eternal self or my fearful self? It's not about becoming someone new. It's about stripping away everything that's not really you. And ironically, that's when you become magnetic. Opportunities, relationships, abundance, all the things you used to chase start flowing toward you because you're finally radiating from a real place. It's no longer a performance. It's pure being. People can feel when someone's living from awakening instead of ego, even if they can't put it into words. It's an energy that shifts rooms and opens doors. And the beautiful twist? Once you stop obsessing over playing the perfect part, life gets a whole lot lighter. You laugh more, you trust more, you stop forcing things to happen and start inviting them. And just when you think you've reached a new level of freedom, you'll catch a glimpse of something even deeper waiting for you, a whole new layer of divine power that's been patiently waiting for you to remember you were never just the character. You were always the creator. If you want to elevate your vibrations and manifest with more ease, I have prepared something special for you. Click the link in the first pinned comment and join us in the journey of awakening your inner mage.